Hey, how we doing? Thanks for checking out tonight's live stream. I got a very good show, in my opinion, because I was inspired the other day to do this because of what Jimmy Dore is doing. Have you seen this? I've got some videos queued up. I'm going to share with you what he's doing in his live shows. Is he's asking people point blank, because he, of course, got the VACCINE and then apparently had some type of issue, right? As many did, had some type of issue, and I think he got mad about it and realized, hey, I'm going to use my platform to raise awareness about what's going down. And so he's asking people in his live show, how did you know not to get the thing? Now let's watch this video, and then I've got another video queued up to give you kind of a lay of the land here, what we're going to do moving forward in today's live stream. I've got another video queued up. He's asking the same thing. What made you decide not to get the thing? And I'm going to dive into the comments, and we're going to read some comments. So let's watch this first one, and it'll kind of set the stage here.
How did you know not to get the vaccine? Oh, you're a nurse. You know, when the nurse won't take the vaccine, isn't that like when the kitchen help won't eat the food?
He is so funny. He is so funny. Now that video got 20,000 likes and almost 1,400 comments. Like I said, I really want to get into the comments for the other video, but I'm going to look here. This person said, and again, I'm on Jimmy Dore's Instagram page. This person said, yes, me too. Work closely behind the scenes of a hospital and would never get the thing. I might have been the black sheep, but I can tell you, let me see, hold on. I can tell you, I saw way too many people coming with MYOCARDITIS. See, isn't it funny? No one really ever heard of that before COVID times. It's just the person says she's not a nurse anymore. LOL. All right, so I'm not going to jump into all those comments. Actually, I guess there was only 12 comments. I don't know why it said 1,400. Again, I'm on Jimmy Dore's Instagram. Now let me jump over to, where's that other one that I queued up here? This is the one we're really going to get into. I'm an hour, almost 2 hours into the 2.5 hour part 2 of Chuck Swindoll. Just a side note, Chuck Swindoll Jr.'s, what would you call it? Documentary, the Khazarian Mafia, the God Eaters, part 2, 1 and 2. Part 1 was phenomenal. I'll be doing a review here on my channel very soon, but I got to get through that second part here. Okay, so let's jump into this one. So who else didn't get a vaccine? This is Jimmy Dore on his YouTube channel, titled, quote, I didn't get the VAXX because of you. This is a fantastic video. I like this. This is how it should be, right? Sharing knowledge and information. Here we go.
What is your name, sir? Sean, nice to meet you, Sean. How old are you? You look young. You're 50? Fuck. That's how old I am. You look young to me. That's the thing about getting old. Everybody starts to look. You know what? If there's certain things, like I hate being older than like a doctor. Like if I'm 90, I want my doctor to be 91. You know what I mean? I want a younger doctor. Same thing. You ever get pulled over by a cop who's younger? It's like, you know why I pulled you over? Yeah, you want me to buy you beer? What do you do for a living?
I'm an attorney.
Well,
I didn't get the vax because of your show.
You didn't get the vax because of my show? Oh, well, thank you very much. I took one for the team. You saw, you're like, wow, look at this fucking idiot got the vaccine. We got all vaccine injured. I'm not taking that. Pretty much like that. Is that how it went? Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's how I save people. Yeah, don't do that. Well, how do you know it? Because I watched Jimmy Dore, and he's a fucking idiot. He got it.
I
could, yeah. That's why I wear a seatbelt now. Jimmy Dore didn't used to wear a seatbelt, and
I think he is hilarious. Okay, so let's jump into the comments. This is where it really gets good. I was going through a few of these and I realized, no, I want to save them to go over with you. And by the way, let me know why you didn't, if you didn't get it, or if you did, let me know why you did get it. You know, I mean, we need to come together and have these conversations. They've polarized us so much that they don't want us talking to each other. So this person said, I never got it because of common sense. Okay. This person said, well, actually, this is my my reasons, and I'll jump more into this in the video today. I said I didn't get it because for my entire life, I watched the government move from one cluster, FUCK, to another, leaving a wake of destruction in their path. I pray for the health and well-being of everyone who got it. And I do, you know, that's why I didn't get it. I've never seen anything they've done that have given me like great confidence in their ability to solve problems. And there were multiple reasons. And another big part of the reasons was for 20 years, I've been studying food and nutrition and health and wellness. And when you know what good health and good nutrition is, and then you see what the FDA allows, chemical flavor enhancers, artificial dyes, preservatives that mess with the gut biome, corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup, which can lead to diabetes, hydrogenated oils, partially hydrogenated oils. All of these things, of course, benefit the manufacturer because they make the food last longer on the shelf. They mess up the gut biome. They can lead to diabetes. They can lead to hypertension. What's the other one? So I talked about corn syrup. Corn syrup and the seed oils. There's a number of things that the FDA allows in food. And so when the FDA came on the scene and said, hey, we've got this medicine for you, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pass because I'm not thrilled with the work you've been doing. I tell people this all the time. I mentioned it in all sorts of videos. Prior to COVID, I thought the government was incompetent. After COVID, I know that they're very competent. Read into that what you will. This person said, that's one life you saved, Jimmy. Let me see what you wrote here. Let me make sure. Steve Infinite Hill. Okay, so I'm not following your question. I have a question hypothetically. Okay, we'll go over my head with that one. Okay. Yeah, this person said, let me get this straight. In order to protect the protected from the unprotected, we should force the unprotected to receive the same protection that does not protect the protected. Amen to that. Yeah, I like that statement. You know, once you get the logic down and go down the rabbit hole, it becomes pretty obvious. This person says, I didn't get it because there was a combined effort by big pharma, the corporate media, and the government to push it endlessly while demonizing those who questioned it. Yeah, it was weird. Like, why are you pushing it so hard? Why are you pushing it so hard? Anytime someone wants you to do something really that bad, it's a huge red flag. And many people did wake up because of that. Jimmy Dore on the right side of history. Thanks for your unceasing fight against the crime of the century. Amen to that. I got the VAX and regretted it ever since. That's what that person says. And someone replied, don't be quiet, tell everyone you know. So many normies out there are still in the dark. You know, we all used to be normies, right? All of us was a normie at one point in time, and we're all normies regarding something else. So it's a continuum, right? We're all in a continuum of awakening, and there's no one who has the perfect understanding of the human experience that can point the finger and go, you know what, you're doing it wrong, or you're not good enough. We got to get past that, because otherwise we won't come together and have these types of conversations. Okay, this person said, I'm a far-right conservative, and I love Jimmy because he's not afraid to confront all of American issues. Yeah, I've heard that Jimmy was potentially or is potentially a liberal. I can't tell. I tend not to look at those types of things anymore. I really didn't prior either. I saw Jimmy in Portland and it was worth every dollar. Jimmy is great. Okay, let me see here. What else we got? Notice no flu in years. Yeah, I did notice no flu. It totally went away, right? This person says, I have a headache. My pill won't work unless you take yours. But I don't have a headache. Just take it. No thanks. So that's similar kind of dialogue, right? No one is safe till everyone's safe or whatever. And then the other big red flag was this, them not allowing those people who may have developed natural antibodies to get out of taking the thing. I mean, what in the world? And for me also, it seemed they were using fear and rushing, which we all know is their main plan. To use fear, it shuts down the ability to think logically and use reason to assess situations, and that's why they use it. That was another red flag. I mean, some of this stuff developed later in the game for me, as I was looking at. The other big one was incongruence, right? If you know someone to be a certain way for your whole life, and then all of a sudden one day they wake up, and again, the other challenge people had is they saw Donald Trump in there who, quote unquote, wasn't a politician, but all I saw was government. At the time, yeah, I was pro-Trump. At the time, I'm not anymore, because again, my level of understanding about him has, widened, but I didn't see it as, Trump's doing it. I looked at it as the government's doing it. Like the government sketches me out. And so their behavior was incongruent. It was incongruent with how I know them to be. And that's a huge red flag. People use it in dating situations and interpersonal relationships all the time to gauge. It's an internal compass. It's an internal bullshit factor that says, hey, this person is different than they have been every day since I've known them. And so, red flag. That was one of my insights. My stepfather got the thing, and his heart stopped suddenly one morning just before we found him. Jeez Louise. Strong as an ox. Within a year, I avoided it myself, but he wanted to be able to comfort the people whose homes he was entering for service. See, it was, when you really think about what they did, it goes beyond, there were no words to put into, to make sense of what happened. This person says, I did not get the JAB because I knew who I was dealing with. These deadly eugenic globalists. Unfortunately, I was right. So that person had a different level of understanding, right? Again, I knew how I was dealing with too. I wasn't thrilled. Didn't get the JAB. I don't like playing Russian roulette with my life. If I'm injured from the SHOT, the best they will do is say, oh, well, and treat me. That's it. Then I'd be stuck in a lifelong injury. So this person thought it all the way through as well. Yeah, I don't find the government to be responsive. I don't find the government to be responsible. I don't find the government to be thorough. I also know that when you rush something, Operation Warp Speed, there's a high probability you're going to make some mistakes. No, thank you. Not to mention when they first started pushing COVID in March, April of 2020, my initial thought, once I saw them start to ramp up this, media propaganda machine, my initial thought was, what are you guys up to? What are you up to? Right? I didn't know what they were doing. I just knew they were up to something because they're always up to something. Thanks for the thumbs up. I appreciate you. Let me see here. As soon as Trudeau started pushing the VAX, my mind was made up not to get it. Yeah. That's funny because early on I shared an article about share, and again, take this with a grain of salt, whether we can believe what we see in the media and the mainstream narrative sources. But Cher said, when Donald Trump was in office, she chose not to get it because she didn't like Donald Trump. But when Joe Biden came in the office and Joe Biden said, yeah, everyone should go get that thing, she chose to go get it. Now that may be, you never know what the real answer is, but it may be what happened there was a result of tribal politics. Like if the leader of my tribe says get it, I'm going to trust him. If the leader of that tribe says get it, I'm not going to trust him. But then they flip-flop and all of them said get it. And that brings me to the other thing I thought was weird. I thought it was weird that everyone in a position of power and influence basically said, go get that thing. The Dalai Lama, the Pope, the leader of the Mormon church, and all churches, all major churches. It wasn't just that prophet of the Mormon church. All major celebrities, sports figures, of course, public health and CDC and FDA, and all political figures. It was weird. It was weird that all of these people said, go get something. And the reality is we didn't have any long-term testing and data. We didn't have any real evidence. It can take 7 to 12, maybe longer years in order to get a regular VACCINE through the system. There was just so much rushing. And the other thing that I think was a factor for me is I've been out of that scene I don't watch the news. If I do, it's in passing. I don't watch the weather on the news. I don't watch the news. I got sucked into the stupid submarine story a few years ago, but beyond that, here and there, very, very rarely, I never turn the news on. I don't listen to it in the car. I don't watch it on my phone. I get all of my news from secondary sources and deep into that. I've used my intuition to judge. Could I be wrong about them? Sure, I could, but I never watched the mainstream news. And so I wasn't caught in that propaganda machine that I feel they ramped up. Here we go again. Never took it because of the cultish reprimand by a friend of mine, or excuse, a friend at my joke of MASKS. I got in trouble for talking about MASKS during that, so I'm sensitive to that being useless. Okay. Thank you for waking up before it's too late and for speaking out. Yeah, amen. That's what I feel. It's a time for all of us to speak our minds if we choose to do so, because it's pretty imperative. We definitely are in a situation. This person said shows like the Jimmy Dore show probably saved a lot of lives. A lot of us are very grateful to you and your crew. You guys are good people. Yes, they are good people. This person says things are changing because of people like Jimmy. I went to the doctor last week and he asked me if I wanted to get the COVID VAX. I told him no, I don't feel comfortable with it, and I already had COVID anyway. Instead of reading me the Riot Act, he said, oh, that makes sense. You probably still have antibodies anyway. LOL, I was actually shocked. That would have been blasphemy if you would, I think we were I wish I could remember the guy's name, but I think we were as a society, the bulk of the people were in some kind of a trance. They were in some kind of a mind space of, I need to look to figures of authority. And I'll tell you, just the other day, and I'll be sharing this again on my social media at GMarkPhillips as well, I ran across a video about the little season. This guy was talking about the little season, but in that video, Satan's little season, in that video, he mentioned the Milgram, MILGRAM experiment in 61, I think. And they concluded that 80% of people, based on the experiment they did, do not have a capacity to understand morally right from wrong. Something like that. It was something like that. That's pretty wild, and it does jive up. And again, I don't like to make this correlation because I don't really feel comfortable putting people in that kind of a box, because I don't know that that's necessarily the truth. But according to the Milgram experiment, this matches up. I have heard, if we can trust the numbers the federal government laid out, that 77% of people got the thing, the VAX. That would line up almost with the Milgram experiment, 80%. So do with that what you will. Again, I'm just sharing what I've heard. I don't necessarily, I'm still processing all of that, and I don't look at the world like that in that type of situation, but it is interesting. Jimmy, Kim Iverson, and the few other media folks that dared to speak up against those TOXIC injections probably saved a lot of lives. I forgot about Kim Iverson. I like her. I'm not sure what her story was. If she got it and had an injury like Jimmy Dore, or if she was just, in the same type of situation as, all of us were and just learning. The other guy that I like is John Campbell. I think his name is Dr. John Campbell. I think he's a nurse in England, if I'm not mistaken. This person said, nobody regrets not getting the JAB. Lots of people do regret. I know some people that regret. And then other people, I just, it's kind of a taboo topic now, which sucks, I don't regret, as someone who did not get it, I don't regret not getting it. I'm glad I didn't, at the time. But then again, my conviction was strong because of the 20 years of research. I knew I don't trust the federal government. So there was really never a question in my mind that I wasn't ever going to get it. Because once you're out living outside the system and you're not watching media and you're not idolizing Hollywood and you're not idolizing sports and you're not watching politicians and you don't feel that, and I already knew about Gulf War. They lied to us about the Gulf War. I did know that. I've learned much more since then about the pharmaceutical industry. I didn't know all that much other than the fact that I knew what the pharmaceutical industry creates does not solve a problem. It masks the symptoms. It manages a symptom. It never solves the problem. And since I'm a person that's about I want to be a holistically health minded. And so I know that in order to do that, you have to solve the root problem, which is always diet and lifestyle and mindset and sleep and nutrition, and you don't just mask it. And I never ever got a flu shot. I've never had a flu shot. So I've never just seen the reason to it. So there were other reasons, that I didn't get it. Yeah, this person I'm not going to read that lewd comment. This person said, your reporting at that time helped me make the decision not to get this. That's another person that they helped. This is why it's so important to share knowledge and information, right? That's why I started talking when I had a partial stroke of my eye, my first inclination was to tell people, hey, watch your back out there, right? Don't, take care of yourself, drink enough fluids, de-stress yourself. Don't spend all night on the phone researching and trying to understand the world. And, when you should be sleeping and relaxing your body. That's my first inclination, because I go into these comments on all sorts of videos, medical, wealth, relationships, etc. And people are sharing the goods here, their experience. Let's see. This person said, I didn't get it because they tried to guilt trip me into it. I couldn't ask any questions about how it was made so fast separately by 3 different pharma companies. And because they practically tried to force people to do it, that's when I knew it was bullshit. Yeah, amen to that person. That was the other thing. If you're going to push that kind of a thing on people, I want to see a panel of doctors, because as we know now, there were many doctors on the side of, no, I would never get that. And I don't recommend it to my patients. Dr. Christine Northrup comes to mind, Dr. Ryan Cole, pretty much all the disinformation dozen, which we know disinformation to one is information to another, right? You got to look at, I know the government to be criminals, straight up, bar none, the worst criminals on the planet. If they call someone else a criminal, I know that, oh, you're just projecting or deflecting, whatever the term is. But until you're going to get, I'm not going to budge until you answer all my questions. And of course they never do. They're not in that business. They don't care about they weren't ever they didn't ever want to have a dialogue about it. They were like, this is the thing, you should do it now. And then they started using strong arm tactics. And I'm like, you guys are sketchy. But that's why, until you got all doctors up on a stage talking about it, I'm not going to budge. I didn't get VACCI and ATED because I thought it was sketchy, and Jimmy Dore just backed me up on everything and reassured me I'm not being delusional. Jimmy Dore must have got it early on, and because all these, I didn't even realize people were talking openly about it that early on to actually do that kind of research. I don't even think I knew about Jimmy Dore until later in the game. Oh, listen to this person. They said got POISONED. I'm spelling this out just to kind of keep us on the up and up by PharmaMeds at 4 years old, just because some school principal threatened my teacher or my parents. Either I get PharmaMeds or they kick me off kindergarten school. At kindergarten, son of a gun. Happened in Wild Bad, Germany in 1995, which means that experience did seeing the shady events of 2020 and onward. I said I'll never take something. Yeah. All it takes is one, Meanwhile, the typical mainstream crowd still pretend everyone skeptically is crazy. Okay, I'm not sure what that person means. Let's see. I listen to Boris Johnson because I don't believe a single word he says. I didn't take the so-called VAX. Interesting. Boris Johnson. Wasn't he the English prime minister? Wouldn't show the trial results. Wouldn't tell people the side effects. Wouldn't allow you not to take it. Wouldn't let doctors speak against it. Amen to that comment. That's why, they were just rushing it. I do have a large brain. It's huge, clearly, right? Clearly. Some people say I look like Megamind. Do you think I look like Megamind? Experimental, zero liability. This person said it only works if everyone gets it. The logic they were using was wild. Companies were threatening people's jobs, careers, and offering money for you to get a brand new and basically untested inoculation. Yeah, it's just so weird. Plus, I'm a late adopter on everything. Tech. Tech is, I'm a late adopter. I don't want to, if something works, and I don't believe in pharma stuff. I just believe in the power of food and nutrition and diet and lifestyle. It saved millions of lives. Okay, that's the talking point that I've heard that. I don't personally know that to be true. If that's, to rebuttal to your comment, dropping the bomb on Japan allegedly saved millions of lives. I mean, it doesn't hold a lot of weight. It doesn't hold a lot of weight because one, we really will never know. There was no control group. And two, the government's lied to us before. I don't trust big pharmaceuticals, but science is the best we have. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't trust big pharma either. That's what I've heard that it stopped the war early, but to me, when I look at it from a different perspective, women and children, yikes. I guess it's okay to do bad things to civilians to stop a war early. Just like it was okay, Madeleine Albright said it was okay to unalive 500,000 children from harsh sanctions and, economic sanctions in Iraq. I don't know that the parents of the children would agree. I don't, you see the same thing. You see the same thing going on in Gaza. They're attacking women and little kids, just like they did with the bomb. There's clearly some people running our government who are, have a different view about things, right? It saved an estimated 1 to 2 million lives. Okay. That again, that's what I've heard. And I used to say those type of things too. I really did. I don't think that way anymore, just because I have a different view of the people running our government. But I appreciate your comment and your perspective. This person said, I was concerned at first when the news broke because one day there really may be a world-ending VIRUS. But after a month or so, when we saw that nearly everyone passing away had an average age of 83 and 2 comorbidities, I realized that it was not something scary like the Spanish flu that took out many young, healthy men. My distrust grew rapidly when all the authorities continued as if it were as bad as or worse than Spanish flu. I then smelt something fishy. Yeah, remember, it had a 99 point something percent of survivability. That was another reason. And even Elon Musk talked about that early on, which is weird because I don't trust him now either. But he said that's why he didn't get it. I think one of the reasons they did orchestrate COVID is to divide and or conquer us, right? I mean, people are still dazed and confused, and people are still, kind of traumatized by the whole experience. And they've moved forward with a lot of their other agendas. What's happening in Gaza, their financial takeover they want to do, the great taking, like David Rogers Webb talks about, money still flowing overseas. Crazy. It's crazy. Let's see. I didn't get it because I saw a doctor on the news say it takes at least 5 years to make a safe VAX. Yes, that's true. It wasn't until years later when I saw the clip again that I found out it was Fauci in the clip. This is crazy. So even though he should have all his skin, oh boy, does it get a little dark? I'm not going to go on. So this guy credits Fauci for waking him up, so he heard Fauci in a clip, older clip, saying it takes, 5 years for the thing to get thing. And then so when they said, hey, we're rushing it, it's going to take shorter, he was as a red flag. I too also heard Fauci. What did he say? He was talking about natural immunity in a prior clip. I mean, could have been from the 90s, 80s, 2000s. I don't know. But he was talking about, yeah, you're good if you've been exposed to, I forget what it was. It was some other type of disease or whatever. And he said, yeah, you're good if you have natural immunity. Jeez. They don't realize that the people can research and can look back on what they've said. They just think no one's paying attention. This person says that those things are unnecessary. We shall all die in wars and from POISONS in our food. Yeah, no need to rush it with the thing. That's funny. Yeah, they poison the food, they poison the air, they poison the water. I mean, they don't care about health and well-being. And so when they say they do, it's kind of BS. Okay, let me see what you're saying here. I believe you have dug yourself a bit of a rabbit hole. I can tell you are smart for an American, so this is unfortunate. Okay, that's fair. Maybe you can illuminate and help me understand why you think I've dug a rabbit hole. I will follow you and hope to help change your opinions. I'm open. Hey, if you might be new to my channel and my live streams. I am open to any and all information at all points in time, because here's the thing about me. I'll let you know. I'm after the truth. I'm not after maintaining my current worldview at the same worldview I had the day before. So I'm all for it. And if you don't have time now, I get it. But, drop in, let me know. Here's, let me tell you a little bit about me. The Great Awakening Guide is right there. That is my, effort, my creation for the effort to wake up all of us, including me. Everything I do is to wake me up. All the videos, all the things like that. I want to know the truth, regardless. Like I said, I just jumped into, finished Chuck Swindoll's. I'm almost through the second part 1 and part 2, the Khazarian Mafia, mind blowing. Last night I was into part 2. I learned things I've heard little rumblings on some of it, but a lot of it has blew my mind. Again, that's in the Great Awakening Guide series on my YouTube channel. But yes, thank you for your participation. And if you feel so inclined, drop me a resource, a documentary you recommend, a book, a person to follow, an article to read, a topic to research. That's how I found out about, two things happened that I found out about the Khazarian Mafia. I've heard I've heard about Khazaria, right? The king that was given a choice to force his people to accept one of the three, Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. And because they're bad people. They're bad people. Anyway, that might be a topic for a different video, but yeah, thank you. I appreciate you. All right, let's see here. 2 to 3 years to push a drug through the FDA for approval, not including testing. You think I'm going to take a SHOT from something pushed? Yeah, same way. I felt that same way. I'm a very late adopter in many things. I want to see if it's going to work or not. I'm not going to go buy a new car. I want them to work the bugs out first. I kind of sit back and watch. And also I don't get in a rush. I know when you rush decisions or anything you can make, get Wikipedia is the best. Yeah, I learned a lot from Wikipedia. Okay. So waiting for that one leftist to say, okay, that's a derogative comment. Survival instinct prevented me from getting they call it a JEWISH I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to tackle that. So this person said survival instinct. So many say I look young when they look at themselves in the mirror. They see someone. Okay. I didn't get it because after only the first 5 minutes of studying the development of mRNA and CRISPR tech, it was clear this was new and risky. I felt that way too. A new and risky procedure. Further study corroborated those findings. There was disagreement as to how to classify this new tech. The decision to call it a VAX was mostly a marketing decision. I felt that too. I learned what I feel to be horrific information about the mRNA stuff, having to do with lab animals. I'm not going to go into detail, but it didn't give me confidence. Let's just put it that way. That's the thing too. Brand new technology, brand new. No one had ever really heard of it before. And yet it didn't seem to matter. Okay, this person says, I was in the hospital and had my VACCINE forced on me. I know people that had that happen without my permission, which I still think is illegal. But my husband is not VACCINATED, and now I'm the only one, oh shit, with HEART problems. Oh boy, son of a gun. This person replied to that saying the whole thing was really made me super angry and very violated. Look up McCullough protocol, Peter McCullough, right? He was helping people. Yeah, it's just BS. I'm now sketched out when I go into the hospital. Like I said, I had to go in for my eye in March. I generally take good care of myself for that reason. I don't want to go in mainstream medical. I don't trust them. Individually, they're great people, the nurses, the doctors, but I don't trust the system. Even now more, This person says, I got it, now have allergies, which I never had in my whole life. I bent under the pressure, never again. See, that's what I don't like is when someone got it because they were under pressure, social pressure, peer pressure. That's when you know you're in some messed up situations. That's what I talk about, the mass formation psychosis. Like it felt like that, Let me see. A lot of people got it because they were going to lose their jobs if they didn't. I've heard that. At a time when the stock market crashed and hiring halted to a complete, it was a sketchy time. The minute a government agency says, do this, it's important for your health, my radar blips. That person thinks like I think. That's what was weird. My government never has cared about me before. They don't care about me, I didn't even have to think about the fact when they said they were concerned. I'm like, again, back to what I was saying. I thought, what are you guys up to? I know you're not concerned about my health and wellness because that's ridiculous. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. What are you up to? Jimmy Dore is funny. This person said, you're so funny. I giggle every time. He is hilarious. The number of huge red flags surrounding the vaxes especially the mRNA types, were ridiculous. Even one of the inventors of the technology said, "Don't take it. It's not a good idea." I don't know who he was talking about to use it for that type of thing. He might have been. I think he was talking about the PCR test and Carrie Mullis or Mullins. Is it Mullis? That's what. But he passed. He was no longer with us, so we couldn't ask him. I was lucky. I was eligible for early retirement, so I retired. I pity the poor FOOLS who had to take it and didn't have the BALLS to say no. So this person's speaking their truth, which is a good thing to do. But I don't want to put anyone else down that took it, because we could be any of us. And these were our family and friends too, right? If everyone had done their homework like I did and had said no effing way, maybe we wouldn't have had to. That's a possibility. I was the last part of their statement, does feel true to me as well. I thought that same way. I mean, it just took me very little time initially. Like I said, I wasn't going to at all because they never struck me as being like competent. But just a little research can open minds, but not if your mind is in fear mode. If your mind is in fear mode, you are not able to think critically about situations. And that's why they do the fear. That's why they want you to see the images of the people passing away. And they want you to see the freezer trucks in New York City, whatever. They do that because they know it'll make fear. And fear is the mind killer, Frank Herbert. Oh, this guy says, I was already the kooky nueve/uno guy in a lot of people's lives before KVID. So I had a Sunday afternoon arts and crafts project of sorts and made a bunch of cards of various laminates and cardstocks. Don't feel bad because the trick is very strong. And the lesson to take away is that whatever the new current thing is, it's artificially manufactured and it's not going and not go along. Yes, so they see it too. That's how I feel too. If whatever they're talking about, I'm going to do the opposite. Whatever they want me to do, I'm going to do the opposite. Anyway, all right. But I guess that's enough. I could go on and on. Lots of good stuff there. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate your comments. And until next time, I wish you all the best health, wealth, and success. Have an awesome day.